So I'm coaching the kids hockey game today, and I had to laugh. We normally have like 7 players on each team. Well, today we had some new kids come in and some guys show up that hadn't been there in a while. So I had 10 players on my team, and I'm like, holy crap! I got 2 lines. I can roll 2 lines. Oh, we're halfway to a team, and the other side had 9 players, so they could roll basically 2 lines, and somebody would stay out there. So we I go to switch lines, and I'm like, all right, well, all right, switch up. So I'm like, all right, guys, come on over. You go on out. And then I look out at the ice. I'm like, why do we have 6? Why are there 6? So one of the players who went out on the ice comes back off. And I'm like, but you were just off. Who's still on? So they point out this one kid. So he stayed on. He did 2 shifts. Then he comes off. And finally, the next time he came off, and he wasn't happy. And he's like, well, we should just switch one at a time. And I said, no, we have 2 lines. We're going to switch 2 lines. And he's like, well, I don't think that's right. And I said, you know, if Ovechkin can get benched for doing that as a rookie, and I talked about how there used to be a time where Ovechkin would just kind of ignore the whole concept of lines and ice time. He's not the only one that's done it, and eventually, message had to get sent. And it happens every now and then where somebody's not listening to the coach. So, it was weird because here you have one person who's going, nah, nah. We lost the game 4-2. It was a tough game for our goalie. It looked like he got hurt on the third goal, at least to me anyway. But anyhow, so just let you guys know. I know people get curious, and here's the funny thing: there's not a kid that I coach, other than my own stepson, who has a clue what I do for my job. I had a kid look at me today, and he says, "Do you watch hockey?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." What team do you cheer for? And I'm like, Vancouver. And he's like, I cheer for the Canadians. And I'm like, oh, good. All right. First up from tonight's action. That's why there's timestamps. If people want to skip the story, they can. Winnipeg's in against Toronto tonight. And I got to say, Winnipeg's better on the road than they are at home. Right? This is just a reality of the Winnipeg Jets. And this was a game that was actually pretty darn good. And when I came into it, it was already 1-1. So I saw the replays of all of that. Including that on the Ehlers goal at 4 minutes from Wheeler and Pionk. It was one of those ones that went around the net. Made Anderson look kind of bad on the replay. And certainly in between the first and the second, the Sportsnet crew they didn't exactly bury Anderson, but they talked about he didn't look very good. He didn't look very confident. And when he doesn't look very confident, this is what happens. 56 seconds later, however, Austin Matthews scores his 30th from Marner. At 456, that's kind of historic. An American-born player with 30 goal seasons his first 4 years. The interesting thing with Matthews is this. So there are times where I think Matthews gets overhyped. And then there are times like this where Matthews genuinely is one of the best players in the league. And yet when these are posted online, you see people laughing and going, the Leafs are still going to lose in the first round. Matthews still sucks. Whatever. No, he's a pretty good player. And eventually, Matthews is going to win awards in this league, and he's going to lead a team pretty deep in the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be with the Leafs, because we don't know what's going to happen when his contract expires. But Matthews is a really good player. If he wasn't in Toronto, we would still be talking about him quite a bit. Hellebuck denied the Matthews line at around 14 minutes, so I did come in shortly after that goal. The Leafs get a power play during said power play. Appleton with a shorthanded goal on a Tavares turnover at 18 minutes. Tavares was really upset after that. He put that on himself, and rightfully so. But Appleton with a really nice move and a nice goal on Anderson. And again, that was part of what allowed the crew to kind of come down on Anderson between the first and the second, which I didn't think was necessarily warranted, because I thought somewhere out there's a bunch of Leaf fans yelling at the TV he's been their MVP and just knock it off. Second period, Anderson was pressured early and did well. And I thought that was important that Freddie Anderson had a good start to the second period. And then Timashov would score from Brooks and Kapanen at 6 minutes. So here we go. The Jets get a power play. They wouldn't score on it. However, after that power play, Scheifele scores from Connor and Pullman at 11:45. And this is when, it's 3-2 Winnipeg, and maybe Toronto starts cheating a little bit. Justin Hall pinches when maybe he shouldn't have, and there's a 3-on-1 the other way. So it was worthy of note. There were some turnovers going on in this game as well. So it's easy to look at Freddie and say, he should have saved this or should have saved that. there were some turnovers going on as well that were allowing Winnipeg some pretty good chances. And for people who don't know, Winnipeg's got some good scorers. The Leafs got a power play, didn't score on it, and then there was a turnover by Cody Ceci that led to a really good chance for the Jets. Again, Anderson saved their bacon. In the third period, Anderson stopped Laine, and it's right around here that the Freddie chants started. At least they got louder in that third period. The Leafs get a power play, but the Jets' penalty kill looked pretty good tonight. That's a penalty kill that's been much maligned, rightfully so. It hasn't been good, but it was pretty darn good tonight. So maybe they're ready to pick it up and get that penalty kill out of the doldrums. And Hellebuck denied Matthews. Not the first time he'd done it in this game. Matthews still had a goal to this stage, but it definitely feels like the Jets are a better team on the road than they are at home. And I'm not sure how you fix this. But all I thought to myself watching this was, if the Jets are a road team to start the playoffs, if they're a wild card or a number 3 seed, they have a very good chance of winning in the first round. If they have home ice advantage, like last spring, I don't know that they go very far in the playoffs. But right now, they look like they could end up with a wild card spot, which I think is beneficial to them. There's a goalie pull with 2 minutes left, and the Jets... You could take the footage of them trying to get the puck into the net, that empty net, and put Benny Hill music to it, because, man, they missed some chances, and it's on the board because I thought that seems important. They're missing multiple shots at the empty net. The Leafs call a timeout with 18 seconds left. Whatever they planned worked. Tavares wins the faceoff. It goes to Riley, over to Matthews, and Matthews roofs it. No chance for Hellebuck on that one, and with 14 seconds left, the Leafs tied it and forced overtime. In the overtime, Tavares hits the post. Freddie Anderson then stopped Laine. Absolutely beautiful save by Anderson. Roslovic and Laine then had a 2-on-0 that was denied. I still don't know how that was denied. I thought for sure that was going in. So Laine with multiple chances in the overtime. Scheifele then had a breakaway. That was stopped. So I'm watching this and I'm going, man, Anderson's got to be a top 3 star after that first period, the way he's played the second, the third, and the overtime. No. So we go to a shootout. It went through quite a few rounds, but we get to Wheeler ending up being the winner. Nylander's shot was saved. Wheeler gets the winner. 4-3 is the final in that shootout in favor of Winnipeg. Hard fought, 2 points. Now they get to go to Boston tomorrow. Hellebuck, 25 saves on 28 shots. Anderson, same total. Scheifele, Matthews, and Wheeler are your 3 stars, and I guess if a goaltender has a save percentage below 900, they normally don't get a top 3 star. But I thought Freddie was the difference in that third period. I really did. And the shots were pretty even all the way through. 6-4 in the first in favor of Toronto. So 2 goals on 4 shots for Winnipeg in the first, right? And then in the second, 11-9 were the shots in favor of the Jets, and then 11-8 for Toronto in the third period. 5-2 in favor of Winnipeg in the overtime. 28 shots apiece. Winnipeg 0-2 on the power play. Toronto 0-3. And great game. Really, really good game. All right, moving along. Philadelphia. They're a different team at home. I don't know why. I don't know how, but they're a different team at home. Konechny scores from Couturier at 3:24, so it's 1-0 early for Philly. But this is Washington. And Backstrom scores from Wilson at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. And then Vrana scores from Kuznetsov and Kempny at 12:34. So, much like recent games of Philadelphia's, they allow multiple goals in the first period. There's a late power play for the Flyers, and both teams in that first period were guilty of some egregious turnovers. So, they both had to really solidify their defense going into the second period of this one. Haig ends up scoring from Raffl and Myers at 19 minutes and 18 seconds, which was shortly after the power play ended. If you didn't know that it was Haig's goal, if you didn't see whose name was on the back, you'd be like, that's a great goal. And when you see it's Haig, you're like, what? So we go into the second period tied at 2. And that felt important because, of course, Philly needs a good result. If they lose this one tonight, they're in trouble. Second period, Caps got an early power play. There was a Pitlick turnover that happened after that power play was killed off, which resulted in a 4-on-2, and Hart made the save on that 4-on-2. The Flyers had 1 shot in the first 14 minutes of the second period. It's not great at home, but they turned it around. Wilson drew a penalty on Couturier. Couturier wasn't happy about that. Basically, Wilson roughed him, so he gave him a little bit of a shot, and Couturier couldn't let it go. So he takes a shot at Wilson, and then he's still ticked off, and he hits another one of the Capitals, and so he gets a penalty there. He was still hot, and he was not happy in the penalty box either. Another one of those cases where I go, they're lucky they don't get more misconducts than they do, those NHL players. But during that power play, Kevin Hayes with an absolutely beautiful shorthanded goal at 17:59, and it's 3-2 Philadelphia after 2. So going into the third period, Philadelphia, with a total of 3 shots in that second period, have a lead entering the third. Third period, Wilson draws a Flyers penalty again. Tom Wilson was at his agitating best tonight, and it drives fans of other teams insane, and for Caps fans, that's a big thumbs up, and that's the way they want him to play. Drive the other team insane. The Flyers seem to have better luck at home in that lots of power plays for the Caps, no success. The Caps got another power play after I wrote that. They were playing with fire, but it didn't matter. Flyers weren't allowing another one. The Flyers get a power play with 2 minutes and 36 seconds left, and that allows them to kill off a lot of the rest of the game. So even though Washington did pull the goalie to even up the numbers, it's not a 6-on-5 advantage for most of that time. And the Flyers bring it home, a 3-2 victory. Holtby, 24 saves on 27 shots. Carter Hart, 26 saves on 28 shots. After an okay, not great first period, he was lights out in the second and third, and all I kept thinking was, maybe Hart's more comfortable playing in front of his Philly crowd than on the road. I don't know what to make of it, because Hart wasn't very good over the last few starts he had on the road. 3 stars are Hayes, Konechny, and Vrana. Power plays, 0 for 5 for Washington. Again, Philly, if they do this again any other night, Washington kills them with that power play. Philly went 0 for 2 on their power play. The shots were 13-8 in the first in favor of Philly, 11-3 in favor of the Caps in the second. In the third, the shots were 11-9 in favor of Philly. Final shots 28-27 in favor of the Capitals. But Flyers will take that result all day long, and it moves them 2 points ahead of the Blue Jackets, 3 points ahead of Florida, 7 points ahead of Buffalo, 8 points ahead of the Rangers, 9 points ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. Remember what I say, when you get 10 points back, that's probably all she wrote on the season. All right, moving along. Dallas. I don't know. This is a Dallas game, right? This is how Dallas games sometimes go. And there's some good in this, and there's some scary bits to this as well. So we'll go through both the good and the ugly. I'm trying not to sing the lyrics to Facts of Life every time I do this, which shows my age. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the Facts of Life. I do it every time. If I even hear somebody going, well, you take the good with the bad, I get the Facts of Life song stuck in my head. It's a show that went off the air when I was, 10? Anyways, first period, Kopitar scores from Toffoli and Iafallo at 2 minutes and 1 second. That's the first shot of the game. And I was like, oh, no. No. I mean, I hadn't even finished, finishing up these things. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll finish up these games. And what, they scored already? No, this is the Kings and the Stars. Neither team can score. This should be a very low event game. It kind of was and kind of wasn't. The Kings were blocking shots early. They get a power play. The Stars were not getting shots. Seemed to be kind of low energy at the start, and they talked about how there's a lot of energy expended in the Winter Classic games, and maybe Dallas is having a hard time focusing. I heard that, and I went, that sounds like an excuse. So I'm not going to agree with that here at all, because eventually they picked it up. There were only 7 combined shots 16 minutes into this game. And I thought, oh boy, because remember, I watched a fantastically exciting game here, a physically punishing Metro game here, and this one just didn't have the level of emotion in it, so it was kind of tough. But the Stars get a late power play, they don't score on it, but we go into the second period. It's mentioned that Lizotte had played a couple of shifts in the first before he went out. Looks like he's injured, and they said lower body injury, he wasn't coming back. And then while they were down to 11 forwards, every now and then a King would look like he got hurt. And if you're a Kings fan, you're going, oh, not another one. Quick's confidence seemed to be growing as the game went along. not facing a ton of shots early in the game seemed to help him. There was some net crashing done by the Stars. This is standard stuff, right? Well, we're not getting enough shots. We're not pressuring the goalie enough. Crash the net. Crash the net and try to get an ugly one. That Stars pressure and clearly agitating the Kings drew a power play. On that power play, they score. It didn't suck tonight. Jamie Benn gets a goal from Sagan and Lindell at 14 minutes and 46 seconds. And then they strike while the iron's hot. At 15:23, Blake Como reminds me why I love the guy, from Lindell and Cogliano at 15:23. And Como was a guy, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler. Guy I was looking at, I've been kind of casually browsing, like, okay, for Seattle, they've already hired scouts, right? So you've got some pro scouts. If you're scouting around and you're thinking about who may be available next June of 2021, to me, Como's a guy that might be perfect for an expansion team. He's got some offensive skill there. Older player, he's not going to cost a ton of money on a contract, and he might be a perfect mentor to kids. He can hit. He can do a little bit of everything. Como is an underrated player in this league. Lindell, that's 2 assists for him in 37 seconds. It's 2-1 Dallas. The Stars tried for another and looked like the Kings were folding. And the reason I say spoiler alert is because I want to do a video where I go through each team and say, if I was a pro scout, this is who I would be scouting. Not necessarily that's who you're taking, but that's who I would be scouting and thinking about that far out. Because Seattle's going to be thinking about things that far out. Anyways, so the Stars tried for another. Sean Walker had a great move to break up a 3-on-1 by the Stars. He isolates the puck carrier, dives to the ice, and knocks the puck into the corner. If he didn't do that, it's highly likely Dallas scores, and this could have got really ugly if they'd added a third before the end of the period. They don't. So in the third period, they mentioned at the start, the shot attempts are 40-25 in favor of Dallas through 2 periods. And yeah, Dallas was definitely full value for the victory. But the Kings came on in that third period, and I don't think Hudobin gets the full respect for that when I look at the 3 stars. Kopitar looked like he got shaken up in the Stars' crease, and then they showed the replay. So he's down, and then Hudobin kind of falls, and he fell directly on the head and neck of Kopitar. It wasn't on purpose. It was nothing dirty about it. But man, the compression when his head goes, I'm glad he's all right. I'm glad he stayed in the game. But at that point, I started realizing the Stars are sitting on the lead. I don't like this. I know the Kings struggle to score, but they're sitting on the lead a little too much. Kiviranta then had a break that was denied. I thought Kiviranta played pretty well tonight, and it's another example of a guy being called up by Dallas, who's been apprenticing in the AHL. Whatever they're doing in Texas, I know the Texas Stars aren't always a great AHL team, but whatever they do with these kids at the Texas level is working. These guys come up and they're ready. It's sort of like Pittsburgh. You see that with Vegas as well. When a player can come up from the minors, Columbus is doing that right now too. When you see a player come up from the minors and he fits in seamlessly into the lineup, that tells you that your farm system is doing something right. So full praise to them for that. This was the second game. The Kings' pressure, though, led to the Stars taking a penalty. So some tense moments there, but they hold on. There was a timeout for the Kings with 1 minute and 9 seconds left. They did pull the goalie, and with that 6-on-5, they pressured really hard. Hudobin was down. The puck is all over the place, and it just, by some luck and by some really good defense by Dallas, it does not go in the net. Your finals 2-1 in favor of the Stars in what ended up being a pretty good game. As slow as it was in the first, it did become a very good game in the second and especially in the third, though there was no scoring. Hudobin saves 30 out of 31. He's the reason that Dallas won tonight. Quick saves 30 out of 32. Your 3 stars are Lindell, Quick, and Como. So again, I understand Como was a gorgeous goal. Lindell had 2 assists, and Quick did have a great game. My honorary star of the night goes to Hudobin. Power plays 1 for 2 for Dallas. Like I said, it didn't suck tonight. Although, asterisk here, LA has struggled killing penalties as well. The Kings go for 2 on their power play. Shots were 7-6 LA in the first, 19-9 Dallas in the second, and 15-7 in the third in favor of the Kings. And your final shots are 32-31 in favor of Dallas. So coming out of tonight's action, nothing changes with playoffs, but there are certainly teams that are sitting outside of playoff positions that needed some help, and they didn't get it. They didn't get it at all. Win, win, win. So tonight was a no help night. Tomorrow night we've got 11 games, so there'll be a preview up for that in the morning. And for people wondering about where's the Rasmus Andersson video, Rasmus Andersson signed a long-term extension with the Flames tonight. By the time I saw that on my phone, I was like, I'm not doing a video at 11 at night Eastern and in the middle of the night in Europe. It's bad enough I do this late at night here, right? In order to talk about Anderson's, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll either put it in the news of the day or we'll take a look at the Flames lineup and what Anderson's signing may mean for other players. I think that's a more thoughtful thing than just throwing together, hey, Anderson signed. Because it's not something that I think needs its own video late at night on the East Coast. But there'll be something on about that tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. We're done with another day of hockey. I'm done both the coaching side and this side. And I eventually I'll tell the kids that I'm coaching what I do. Probably the last week we do it, I'll probably be like, hey, by the way, and just throw that out there. It is nice though, with nobody having a clue. Nobody having a clue who I am, so it's kind of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support. Channel's closing in on 131,000. The growth's been really nice on the channel, and that you guys get a thumbs up for. So thanks for that. I will talk to you again soon.